Marissa pressed a towel against the leaking window frame, feeling the cold wind slip through the cracks like an unwelcome guest. The apartment always smelled of damp plaster, but tonight it carried a sour edge that made her eyes sting. She rocked her daughter with her free arm, trying to soothe the thin, exhausted cries that had slowly worn her nerves raw. Welcome back, everyone. Before we get started, be sure to subscribe and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. Your responses always make my day. And don't forget, another thrilling story is coming your way tomorrow. Let's get into it. It's okay, baby. Mommy's here, she whispered, though even she didn't believe the words. On the wobbling kitchen table sat the newest envelope she couldn't bear to open fully. She didn't need to, she already knew the phrase printed in thick, unforgiving letters. Final notice: disconnection imminent. Gas. Electricity. Both overdue. Both necessary. Both are impossible. Her chest tightened. She'd picked up every shift the diner offered, double shifts until her legs shook, lunches without eating so she could save a few dollars. But the bills swallowed everything. Diapers, formula, rent, bus fare. Being poor wasn't just hard. It was humiliating. It was a full-time job where the reward for surviving one day was knowing tomorrow would be just as bad. Ava's cries turned into little hiccups. Marissa laid her in the crib she'd bought secondhand from a neighbor. She stroked her daughter's cheek. I know, baby. I know you're hungry. Her phone vibrated. She ignored it. Bill collectors always found time to call. The phone buzzed again. This time it was her sister. I can't help you anymore, Riss. I'm barely covering my own rent. I'm sorry. A tiny crack formed somewhere deep inside her chest. Not an explosion, just a small, precise fracture that promised more breaking soon. She typed back, it's okay, though it wasn't. Nothing was okay. Her legs finally gave out and she sank onto the couch. The springs poked through the fabric, reminding her again of everything she could not afford to fix. She pressed her palms into her eyelids, pushing back the burning ache of exhaustion. Her phone slipped from her hand and landed beside her. On impulse, she picked it up again and opened her messages. The cursor blinked. It felt like a doorway she wasn't supposed to walk through. But desperation was louder. She typed, I need help. I can't buy formula for my baby. Can you please send something, anything for her? She hit send before she noticed the contact wasn't who she thought it was. Across the city, miles away and high above the ground, Miles Porter walked into a penthouse wrapped in silence. The lights hummed softly. The windows framed the glowing skyline. Everything was immaculate, sterile, even. It looked like wealth lived there, not a person. He loosened his tie and tossed it on the marble countertop. His reflection in the window looked like a stranger wearing a suit that didn't belong to him. His chest felt hollow, the same dull ache he'd grown accustomed to. Nights were the worst. Nights were when memory crept in, unwelcome and persistent. His phone buzzed. He glanced at it with the boredom of someone used to constant notifications: business, investors, automated reminders. But the message staring back at him wasn't routine. I need help. I can't buy formula for my baby. Can you please send something, anything for her? He froze. He reread it slowly, line by line. Something in the message tugged at him more than pity, more than curiosity. It hit a place he didn't visit often. He typed a reply, erased it. Typed again, erased it. Why was he hesitating? He had assistants who handled this type of thing. A foundation that allocated funds with cold efficiency. He could forward the message and forget it existed. But he didn't. He set the phone down, but it buzzed again almost immediately. Another message. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked. I'm just tired. Ignore that. I'm sorry. He read the apology twice. A strange, uncomfortable tightening pulled at his chest. He didn't like how familiar it felt asking for help, then apologizing for needing it. He picked up the phone again. In the small apartment, Marissa wiped her face with the back of her hand. She regretted sending the message. She hated herself for it. She hated how begging made her feel small, invisible, desperate. She opened the text thread again, ready to delete the message and pretend it never happened. Before she could press anything, her screen lit up. The little bubble appeared. Typing. Her breath caught, the air sticking in her throat. Someone was responding. In the penthouse, Miles stared at the blinking cursor on his phone. He didn't know why he felt something like responsibility. Or maybe he did, and he simply didn't want to name it. He typed slowly, as if trying not to startle the fragile moment. Who is this? Then, after a pause he didn't entirely understand. Are you and your baby safe? The city stretched between them, one world built on survival, the other on excess. Rain tapped steadily against two very different windows. Marissa stared at her phone, hands trembling. She wasn't sure if she was terrified or relieved. On the other side of the city, Miles felt the strange sensation of caring creeping up on him, uninvited and unsettling. Neither knew what they were stepping into. Neither understood how one mistaken text could unravel the lives they'd been struggling to hold together. But something had shifted. Something small. Something irreversible. A line had been crossed between two people who had never met, two people who shouldn't have been connected at all. And neither of them could take it back. Marissa stared at the message on her screen, the words blurring for a moment as if her eyes didn't trust them. Are you and your baby safe? No one ever asked her that. Not really. People ask things like when can you pick up another shift? Or do you still need the rent extension? Or can't you find someone to watch the baby? But safety was a different question. Safe implied she mattered. Safe implied someone cared. She swallowed hard, wiped her face, and typed back with fingers that shook more than she wanted to admit. We're okay. I'm just behind on some things. I thought I was texting my sister. I'm sorry. Please ignore the message. She hovered over send, wondering if she should admit more, wondering if honesty made her pathetic. But she pressed the button anyway. It was already too late to pretend none of it happened. Her heartbeat thudded loudly in her ears. Ava stirred in her crib and let out a small whimper. Marissa rose to check on her, grateful for a distraction, something physical to hold on to instead of the churning anxiety inside her. On the other side of the city, in a room spacious enough to fit her entire apartment 3 times over, Miles stared at the new message. I'm just behind on some things. A simple phrase, but he could read the weight beneath it. He knew it too well. It reminded him of the years he watched someone he loved shrink under the pressure of just behind, until behind became drowning. He walked toward the window, the glow of the city lighting his face. He felt the familiar instinct to retreat, distance himself, keep things transactional, simple. Clean lines. No emotional mess. But something inside him ignored that instinct. His thumbs hovered over the screen. What do you need? I can help. He paused. The sentence sounded too abrupt. Too much. He erased it and tried again. You don't have to apologize. You reached out because you needed support. There's nothing wrong with that. He hesitated, then added. If you're comfortable, tell me what's going on. He hit send before he could overthink it. Marissa's phone vibrated. She grabbed it quickly, almost afraid the message would disappear if she didn't read it fast enough. As she read his words, her knees softened. She sat down again, but this time it wasn't exhaustion that made her legs weak, it was something more complicated. Something like hope, but gentler. Something like being seen. She typed slowly. I'm just struggling. Everything costs more than I can handle right now. The formula she drinks went up again. I'm behind on rent. Behind on bills. I'm trying. I'm so tired, and I'm trying. She erased the last sentence, then put it back. If she was already this exposed, she might as well tell the truth. I'm sorry if this is too much. Across the city, a man who rarely felt anything felt something now. Her last line hit him the hardest. I'm sorry if this is too much. He whispered to the empty room, it isn't. He typed back. You don't need to apologize to me. You're doing your best. That counts for more than you think. He added. How old is your baby? The question was simple, but the answer came quickly. 3 months. A soft, fragile age. A sleepless age. A vulnerable age. Miles felt a memory tug at him, tiny fingers wrapped around his thumb, a small face pressed into his chest. A memory he rarely allowed himself to touch. He inhaled slowly, pushing it away. What's her name? He asked. Ava, she replied. He stared at the name, letting it echo through him. It was the kind of name that carried light. He typed back. It's beautiful. Marissa's throat tightened. She brushed her thumb over Ava's cheek, as if hearing someone say the baby's name kindly made it real in a new way. She wrote. Thank you. I'm sorry, I don't want to keep bothering you. I know you don't know me. I didn't mean to drag you into my problems. Seconds later, a reply appeared. You're not bothering me. If I didn't want to talk, I wouldn't be responding. Her breathing slowed. Something inside her unclenched. He continued typing. Can I ask how much you need for the formula? She hesitated. The question felt like a door. Answering meant stepping through it. Admitting the true amount meant exposing the full scope of her situation. But lying wouldn't help either. She typed. She needs the specialty kind. It's $42 a can now. She goes through one every 5 days. I only have enough left for tomorrow. Miles read the words, and the knot in his chest tightened. $42. A number that meant nothing to him. A number that meant everything to her. He typed. Okay. I can cover that. Marissa froze. Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, trembling with disbelief. I can't let you do that, she typed, but her stomach twisted because she could, and she would, and Ava needed it. He replied quickly. It's just a formula, Marissa. Let me help. The way he used her name made the room feel warmer. But fear cut through her warmth as quickly as it came. Why would you do that? You don't know me. Miles stared at her words. He could have said something polished. Something superficial. Something billionaire smooth. Instead he wrote the truth. Because you asked for help. And because someone I cared about once needed help too. I didn't answer in time. Marissa read the message twice. A chill ran down her arms. I'm sorry, she typed instinctively. He responded immediately. Don't be. Just tell me how I can get the formula to you. She stared at the phone, torn. Accepting help from a stranger, especially one who sounded calm, steady, put together, felt dangerous. But her baby's empty formula container sat in the kitchen trash like a silent countdown. Her fear wrestled with her desperation. Before she could respond, another message appeared. Marissa. I'm not asking for anything in return. Just let me help. She closed her eyes. And typed the words that would change everything. Okay. Marissa regretted saying okay almost immediately. The moment she pressed send, a wave of panic washed over her. What was she doing? She didn't know this man. She didn't know what he wanted, what he expected, who he was. People didn't just offer help without some hidden string attached. Not in her world. Not in any world she'd ever lived in. She put her phone face down on the couch and paced the length of her living room, swallowing the rising panic. Stupid, she whispered to herself. Why would you trust a stranger? But Ava cried again, a thin, tired sound that struck straight through her chest. Marissa scooped her up, holding her close, letting the baby's warmth settle her racing thoughts. She turned the phone over. A new message blinked across the screen. I can send a delivery directly to you. You don't have to see me in person. Whatever makes you comfortable. That should have made her feel safer. Instead, it made her feel exposed, like her life could be mapped and delivered to with a simple pin drop. She typed carefully. I don't want anyone coming here. It's not a good area. Miles read the message from his penthouse and felt the contradiction twist inside him. She didn't want someone coming to her neighborhood. She didn't want to see him. She wanted distance. Safety. He understood distance too well. He typed. That's fine. Just give me the nearest drop-off point. A store, a building, anywhere you feel comfortable. I'll have the formula delivered there. He stared at the message, his reflection faint in the dark window. He knew he was doing more than he usually allowed himself. He also knew he didn't want to stop. But as the second stretched on without a reply, doubt crept in. Maybe he'd said too much. Maybe he'd crossed a boundary. Maybe. Her message popped up, interrupting his spiral. There's a pharmacy 2 blocks from my place. They accept deliveries. I can pick it up from there. He exhaled in relief. Then her next message came. But I don't want you spending a lot. Just 1 can. That's all. 1 can. He stared at those 2 words for a long time. She wasn't asking for comfort. She wasn't asking for ease. She was asking for survival, 1 can at a time. His fingers flew across the screen. Okay. 1 can for now. But if you need more, you tell me. Marissa sat on the couch, Ava tucked against her shoulder, reading the message, her chest tightening. She didn't want to need him again. She didn't want to depend on anyone. She'd been left by too many people, disappointed by too many promises. Her thumb hovered, her gut twisting. She typed. I don't want to get used to this. I don't want. I can't rely on anyone. Miles felt the sting of that message like it was aimed straight at him. He typed back slowly. I understand. You don't owe me anything. This isn't reliable. It's a moment of help during a moment of need. She didn't answer. Minutes passed. He paced the penthouse. He checked his watch. He checked his phone. He thought about sending another message, then stopped himself. He didn't want to pressure her. But he also didn't want to disappear the way he once had when someone else was counting on him and he had stayed silent until silence became permanent. He finally typed. Marissa? Are you still there? She wasn't ignoring him. She was simply frozen, torn between gratitude and fear. She read his message once, then again, then set her phone down and buried her face in Ava's tiny shoulder. Why does this feel so hard? She whispered. She knew why. Because needing help always came with shame. Because accepting kindness made her feel like she owed someone something. Because she had no room left to be disappointed. Her phone buzzed again. If you don't want my help, you can say so. It's okay. She felt something drop inside her. Not guilt. Not fear. Something softer, deeper. He wasn't pushing. He was offering a way out and she hated that she almost took it. She picked up her phone. I'm here. I'm sorry. This is all new for me. It's new for me too, he replied before she could overthink. She blinked at that. New. For him. She imagined a man with wealth, with influence, with a life so far removed from hers he probably never had to worry about anything. She couldn't picture him struggling with anything at all. She typed. Why would this be new for you? You don't seem like someone who has any problems. Miles let out a humorless breath. If only she knew. He typed. Everyone has problems. Some just hide better than others. She stared at the message, her pulse slowing. She didn't know what he meant, but something in the words felt real in a way she didn't expect. Before she could reply, another message came. Your formula will be delivered to the pharmacy by 8 a.m. Under the name Porter. Her breath caught. Porter. Wait. Porter. Her fingers trembled as she typed. Porter. As in, the Porters. The billionaire. The one in the magazines. The tech guy. He closed his eyes. Of course she recognized the name. Everyone did. He typed. Yes. That's me. And then, after a long moment. Does that change anything? Marissa felt her world tilt. A billionaire? A real, actual billionaire? Why would someone like him talk to someone like her? Her breathing turned shallow. Her thoughts spiraled. She typed the only thing she could manage. I don't understand. Why would you help me? Miles stared at the question. It wasn't the first time someone had asked him that. It was just the first time he wished he had a perfect answer. He typed. Because you needed help. And I could give it. But even that didn't feel like the full truth. He added. And because I don't want to be the kind of man who looks away anymore. Marissa felt the words settle through her like something warm, unsettling, impossible. She didn't know what to say. She didn't know what this meant. But she knew one thing. Nothing about her life felt simple anymore. Marissa barely slept. Every time she drifted off, fear yanked her back awake. Fear that this was all a mistake. Fear that he would change his mind. Fear that she had somehow imagined everything. By 6 a.m., she sat on the edge of her couch, bouncing Ava gently, feeling the baby's small breaths against her collarbone. The sky outside was still gray, streetlights flickering in puddles. The apartment felt colder today, as if even the air was holding its breath. At 7:42 a.m., her phone buzzed. Delivery complete. Pickup ready. Her heart jumped. She bundled Ava into her carrier, slipped on her worn sneakers, and stepped out into the damp morning. Her building smelled like mildew and cigarettes. She kept her head down as she walked quickly down the cracked steps to the sidewalk. The pharmacy was only 2 blocks away, but it felt like crossing into another world, the one where people stood in line for prescriptions, not formulas they couldn't afford, the one where no one knew she was drowning. Inside, the store was warm, the scent of disinfectant sharp. She approached the counter. Pick up for Porter, she said quietly. The clerk typed something, then disappeared into the back. A minute later he returned holding not 1 can of formula, but 3. Her stomach clenched. There must be a mistake, she muttered. The clerk checked the label. No mistake. Paid in full. Paid. In full. Her hands shook as she reached for the bags. 3 cans meant 2 weeks. 2 weeks meant breathing room. The breathing room felt like a luxury. Ava stirred in her carrier, and for the first time in days, Marissa smiled. Her phone buzzed again. Did you get it? She typed back quickly. Yes. But you sent too much. A pause. Good. She almost laughed. I almost cried. She wasn't sure which. Thank you, she wrote. I mean it. Thank you. You're welcome. Are you heading home now? She stared at the message, frowning. Yes, why? Because I'm outside. Her breath hitched. She turned slowly toward the large front window of the pharmacy. And there he was. Standing next to a black SUV. Hands in his pockets. Watching her through the glass. His posture wasn't cocky the way she imagined billionaires stood. He looked strangely, uncertain. Like he wasn't sure if she'd walk outside or run in the opposite direction. Her instinct screamed leave. Her curiosity whispered. A pharmacist nearby said, "Ma'am, you're good to go," and she realized she'd been frozen in place. She stepped outside cautiously, her pulse